It's not a fun part of football season, but we have reached that point in the year where when you go to bed after a game gets played, you can wake up with a reasonable expectation that somewhere in the league there will have been a staff shakeup. We already saw it happen in Las Vegas with Josh McDaniels. Washington fired defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio after their Thanksgiving game. And now, here on Monday, we get our second head coach firing of the season, the Carolina Panthers, fresh off of that 17 loss to the Tennessee Titans. They fire first year head coach Frank Reich. Panthers are 1-10, worst record in the league. Interesting thing about it, in my opinion, is just Panthers owner David Tepper just hired Reich in January, got the job on January 26th, 10 months and 1 day later, 11 games into his tenure, he gets the boot. Now, I would have said before we did this segment that first year head coaches don't tend to get fired that quickly into their tenures. I'll tell you this, it's becoming more and more common. I mean, just last year we saw it happen in Denver and Houston. You can look at 10 or so examples over the last decade where just 1 year into their tenure, NFL teams get fed up with their coach. Tepper, the owner in Carolina, has now fired head coaches in back-to-back seasons. That's pretty unique. And even more remarkable than that, Frank Reich is the first head coach since the merger all the way back in 1970 to get fired from his job in back-to-back years. Remember, he was the head coach in Indianapolis last year that opened the door for the ill-fated Jeff Saturday tenure. Imagine what it takes to get fired from two different head coaching jobs in 2 different years. He's got roughly somewhere around 50 or 60 million dollars owed to him by these two franchises. I hope Frank Reich has the longest, most extravagant vacation planned in history. Like, look, you come back and coach in 2024 if that's what you want to do, Frank, but from now until Valentine's Day, until spring, you're off the grid, my man. You're on a beach, you're sipping Mai Tais. Do something with that hard-earned money that these teams decided they didn't mind parting ways with. The reasoning for the firing, pretty obvious. Panthers are bottom 5 in offense in every metric that you could imagine: yardage, scoring, DVOA. I don't know if watchability is a metric, but they are the least fun offense to watch in the NFL. They've only scored more than 20 points 2 or 3 times all year. Over the last 5 weeks, they're averaging 12 points per game. It's brutal to watch the Carolina Panthers play offense. And that would be bad regardless. It's especially bad when you traded away this upcoming first round draft pick to go up and draft Bryce Young number 1 overall. Yeah, the Panthers are supposed to have the most exciting rookie in the league on their team. That guy is in Houston right now, goes by the name of CJ Stroud. And I'm not going to bag on Bryce Young. I think there's a lot of reasons why he's struggling in Carolina, but it ultimately goes at the foot of the offensive-minded head coach when he's averaging 188 yards per game, 9 touchdown passes to 8 interceptions on the season, sacked 40 times by the Panthers' awful offensive line. The only reliable weapon in Carolina's offense is Adam Thielen, who is much closer to the end of his career than the beginning. It's bad. It's really, really bad. I understand the frustration. In a vacuum, I completely get why you fire a head coach for this performance. But let's bring it back around to David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers. Context matters. And you remember Tepper handpicked Frank Reich to lead this franchise, again, just 10 months ago. He let Reich oversee that decision to draft Bryce Young. And if all of that wasn't indicative enough, this is now the 6th head coach of David Tepper's ownership, if you include interim coaches. He's only on the team since 2018. So if I can do basic math, that's 6 head coaches in 6 years. Fired Ron Rivera when he got there, then dismissed interim head coach Perry Fewell right after that, hired Matt Rule, then fired him, dismissed interim head coach Steve Wilkes, who actually led the Panthers on a nice little run at the end of last year, hired and then fired Frank Reich, and now he's got special teams coordinator Chris Tabor in the interim head coaching role. Chris Tabor, by the way, fired quarterbacks coach Josh McCown and running backs coach Deuce Staley. That's somewhat normal. Interim head coaches do have some say in personnel after they take the job, but all of this is me trying to say something is stinky in Carolina, and it seems to coincide with the ownership tenure. 30-63 since David Tepper took over. Again, 6 head coaches have worked for the Panthers in 6 years. Something to keep in mind as we wait to see where they go from here. But Carolina Panthers quickly throwing their hat into the ring for one of the NFL's most dysfunctional franchises over the last few years.